In Chinese culture, the horse represents integrity, courage, and speed. The dragon in turn represents good luck, power, and strength. They are powerhouses for the male yang energy, which also represents heaven. One mythological creature combines both of these wonderful animals into one to form the literal dragon horse, the Longma. Despite how amazing this is, this animatronic is unfortunately not very accurate in what the Longma represented in China. The Longma is a little bit more subdued. China has a rich culture which stretches for over 5,000 years. Before the dragon had coiled and spun its way into the hearts and minds of China, the horse had stood at the forefront of celestial beings, as a beast of burden, as a war asset, and as a beautiful prize to keep. The horse was revered and adored. Before China had built its towers and cities, when they were still wandering across the plains, the symbol of the horse was more important than even the dragon. The Longma, as a divine entity, embodies this reverence. They are parts of stories and myths, described with a hide that is spotted blue and red, covered in dragon scales and with a yellow speckled mane much like a starry sky. Its neighing sounds like a flute. It has great wings upon its back and can walk on water without breaking the surface. And they are, of course, part of heaven. In China, the word Qian describes heaven, which makes up the core of certain Chinese religions. Emperors were thought to be descendants of heaven, as the heavens gave the gifts of the sun, rain, and wind. It would make sense then that the Longma would be part of this yang energy, which of course also represented heaven in the balance of yin and yang. Stories of this magnificent animal is unfortunately quite sparse. Mostly the Longma brings messages, or foretold the coming of the wise kings, the 3 sovereigns of the 5 emperors. To Fuxi, first of the 5 emperors of China and the creator of music, hunting, domestication, fishing, and humanity, the Longma brought one piece of a puzzle, the Yellow River chart. The water of the Ho sent forth the dragon horse. On its back there was curly hair, like a map of starry dots. The turtle would later bring the writing. These 2 elements would help Fuxi create the triagrams which formed the basis of one of the earliest religions in China, Taoism. It could then be said perhaps that the coming of the Longma marked the dawn of Taoism in China. Sadly, despite this prestigious moment, in other sources the Longma is quite sparse. There is a 10th century document which states that in the year 741 a Longma appeared, and it was called a good omen for the emperor of Xuanzang of Tang. The Longma would also walk out of the Ming River, carrying a map on its back when a holy man was on the throne of China. Then a dragon horse appeared, bearing in his mouth a scaly cuirass, with red lines on a green ground, ascended the altar, laid down the scheme and went away. The cuirass was like a tortoise shell, 9 cubits broad. The scheme contained a tally of white gem and a casket of red gem, covered with white yellow gold and bound with a green string. On the tally they were the words, "With pleased countenance given to the Emperor Shun." What these references and stories show is that the Longma, like its half-brethren the dragon, has a place of reverence in the hearts and minds of the people. Although certainly not as popular as the dragon, the Longma did edge out a small place in history and mythology. Overall, the Longma bears a wonderful sense of divinity, a combination of speed, beauty, power, and strength all wrapped into one. But apart from the Longma, there are other wonderful dragon horses in the mythologies of China. Qianma, which translates to heavenly horse, were epic dragon horses with wings. They also sported clear dragon characteristics, wings, horns, and tails. And in the Western Zhou Empire, Qianma referred to a constellation, directly associating them with the heavens. They were also known to blood sweat, which could have more to do with their real-life counterpart, the Fergana horses. These were real horses, also referred to as heavenly horses, and were prized animals. The Han Dynasty in particular valued these animals quite highly, but they may have picked up a certain parasite, which made the horses sweat blood, although in the eyes of the people, it only served to prove their divinity. Journey to the West, one of the most well-known books in Chinese literature, also has a dragon horse in its pages. Yulong, a son of the Dragon King, is turned into a horse as punishment and must serve as a mount to the monk Junjiang as a means to redeem himself. To understand the Longma as a symbol within China, we must first understand the importance of the horse itself. As stated before, through much of its history, China revered the horse for its use, durability, and loyalty. In the Han Dynasty, for example, the horse was a revered and beloved symbol, and emperors, lords, and noblemen were actually buried with ceramic horses and sometimes with live ones. The War of the Heavenly Horses is a well-known event in China, in which an emperor would go to war for the marvelous Fergana horses. The horse even has a connection to one of the largest trades in China, silk. The silkworm has a horse head, and some stories believe that silkworms do come from horses. What these stories tell us is that China adored the horse, and it's no surprise. On the back of the horse, wars were fought and won. Nations were built, and wide expanses explored. They enabled our modern-day society to be what it is today. Many historians also believe that at the very beginning of China, before their dynasties and their palaces, the horse was the true symbol of worship. It became the symbol of strength, speed, and power, and might have been as important to China as the horse still is today to the Mongolians. Over time, as the Chinese people settled and built their temples and cities, the dragon started to replace the horse, shifting the horse aside to make way for the superior dragon, which did not need wide expanses of fields and wilds and settled nicely in these beautiful temples to rule. It was essentially a shift in religion, philosophy, and beliefs. Although the horse was still important, the dragon fitted better into their modern society. So one could see the Longma as a sort of representative of a transitional period, when one power symbol was replaced by another. The Longma is then a creature nestled between two beliefs. Or perhaps we can rather say, it is just a magnificent animal we can enjoy and admire today.